Hey, quiet on set. This is gonna be one take 15. Everybody good? All right, and action.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of One Take. And as usual, we have a good one. And actually, this one is going to be slightly different because today we are going to be talking about a TV show, a very popular TV show that we've been wanting to talk about and can now talk about because both of us have seen at least a little bit to give you an idea of what we think of it. And now, of course, you're probably wondering, what is that TV show? Well, it is a very, very highly rated TV show and praised amongst viewers and critics. So, yeah, we just thought we'd come on and talk about season one primarily because we should say that we have not. Well,
That's all I've seen.
yeah, that's all Dave has seen. I've seen like 5 episodes of season two, but because of the fact that this is such a highly rated TV show, we thought, hey, why not talk about this and give our opinion? And yeah, with that being said, Dave, if you have any words of wisdom about this, you can start off.
Sure thing. Thank you very much, John. Yeah, relevant show. Just had
Mm-hmm.
season 4 come out though, so we're a little bit behind
A little,
in
yeah.
relevancy within the Invincible uh
Mm,
run that it's been going on. But yeah, ever since season 1, I mean, this thing has really taken hold as one
right.
of the most popular shows on streaming services. So, I our friend had shown it to us before, and I
Yeah.
wasn't in the mood to get into a show at the time.
Mm,
Um, and I I did enjoy. I think we watched like the first 2 episodes maybe. So I mean,
right.
we had that big moment at the end of the first episode that's obviously very different from what you would expect from a lot of superhero shows, and
Sure.
I thought it was really cool. I thought it was interesting. I just didn't really have the time or the desire to like really dive into watching the entire season. But I've done that now. I got to check it out,
Yeah.
and I want to know what all the hype was about. And I
Mm,
guess I could just say I see why it's so popular, and I think
oh
it's
yeah.
really good. In terms of season 1, again, that's all I've seen.
Mm,
I have not.
yeah.
I'm going to start season 2 probably in the coming days or weeks. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm definitely sticking with
Yeah.
it, at least for the start of season 2. We'll see where they go with it. I'm sure it'll still be
Mm,
awesome. But
yeah.
yeah, season 1's really good. I think it shines the most in the character moments more so than the action. The action's still good, and I
Hmm.
think the art style is really cool, and also the acting. The acting might be the number one thing out of everything.
Yep.
The character moments are so great because this voice cast is so stacked. It's got
Yeah.
loads of names who are established actors as well as really popular TV actors and just really talented people all across the board. And beyond
Hmm.
that, I mean, the people behind the show, it's based off of a comic, so there's already the source material that I've heard is very popular. The score is awesome. Love the score. Just love the style
Yep.
of it overall. This is, I would say, more up my alley than a lot of other superhero type of content um, at
Fair
the
enough.
MCU. Um,
Yeah.
I like that I like the brutality. I like the
Mm,
um, how it doesn't pull its punches, you know.
right.
And so yeah, really good first season. I don't know if I want to. Do I announce my rating right now of what I would give it, or do we
Um,
save that till the end and we just discuss a little bit?
I don't even know if I could give you a rating on how I
Okay.
feel
Okay.
about it. So if you want to say it, feel free.
I'll
But
let it
if
fly
you,
then. I'll let it
no,
fly. I give it like an
okay, yeah,
8.5. I get an 8.5.
fair
Really,
enough.
really solid. I
Yeah,
do think there's some weak points though that we can get into. Um,
yeah,
and like pretty significant ones that do hold it back a little bit, but
mm,
still 8.5 is really good on my scale.
right,
And yeah, I really enjoy it or have
fair
enjoyed
enough.
it so far.
Yeah,
John?
okay. I guess that means it's my go
Yeah.
to kind of um, darken the mood if that gives you a little um, peek into what I'm getting at. All right, so I guess I should start off by saying that I do not dislike it, but I will say that I think it is one of, as far as what I've seen, one of the most overrated shows out there.
Ooh, most overrated. Oh boy.
And
Big
I think it's
words.
just fine. It's not
Wow.
bad. It's just fine.
Okay.
Again, a lot of what you were saying is true. I really like the fact that they do not hold back and actually go for the brutalitism and the action sequences. That's probably um, one of the biggest highlights of the show, which kind of overshadows its very low moments. Um, Again, the voice acting is very great. I think that's also um, top of the list as why it's still fine. But the show itself, I don't know. I just found it very um, generic and also very predictable. So basically, in season one is like, oh, you have the child prodigy and the big hero guy, and the child prodigy is like, oh, I don't have my powers. I'm not gonna be all like my dad, like I want to be, all that good stuff. Um, and then of course, like good stuff happens and all that stuff. Um, the characters themselves, like the very first, I'm trying to go based off memory. So I think one of the first sequences in the pilot episode is the introduction of the main big hero group. And I was like, okay, I already know they're gonna die. Like
Really?
it's yeah, like every I felt like so overall it felt like everything that happened in season one basically told you how the series is gonna play out. And I'm like, why would I want to continue watching this if I already know like the stuff that's gonna happen? So like for instance, again the first episode I was like, okay, these characters are cool. They're hyping them up. I know they're gonna get killed because like these guys shouldn't be the focus. They wanted to focus on the kids, so they have to get rid of them. And um Omni-Man's reveal, I was like, okay, he's definitely a bad guy. Like it's pretty out there. Like something's off about him. And then we come to find out, I was like, okay, knew it, but like that kind of seems like a lame excuse. Um, the main character himself, the kid, Mark, I believe his name is.
Hmm.
Um, I just find him slightly annoying. Um, like
I
he's
agree.
just
I
like,
agree a little bit. At times he can be kind of
yeah,
irritating.
because he's so hmm, overly cocky for what for his position at the time. He's like,
Mm.
yeah, I can do it. I can be a big hero. And it's just like, okay, dude, you like just got your powers. Like you don't even know how to like use them and fight crime and not die in the process.
Mm.
And then of course we get a new group, of which I could care less about, like the new young hero group. I was like, wow, these are like the most uninteresting characters ever. Like I just don't care about them at all. None
Like
of
you're
them
talking
bring,
about the oh my gosh, I'm already gonna forget their name. Like Duplicate, Adam
yeah,
Eve, and
yeah,
Rexplode and Robot. You don't
yeah.
think they're interesting?
The only one that I found interesting was Eve,
Okay.
and everybody else, I was like, they just bring nothing. They're just a drag on the show, to be honest with you. And to go about with Eve, I really do not like what they're doing with her character. I think that she is, well, we'll get into this later on, but I think she is one of the best characters in the show of which I've seen so far. And they're doing so much to hurt her character itself. Like they're not building her up or anything. Like of course she has like the oh, I want more to be a hero. I want to be able to like help. Like they're like, oh, go live in the woods and do nothing. And then two
She's
episodes
not
go
doing
by and
nothing. I mean, she's
well,
helping a lot of people, just in a different way instead of just, beating up evil.
well, sure.
There's other dangers
Uh,
out there for people, so
no, I get that, but like, I don't know. I just feel like they're this is one of those moments, and of which I always have a problem with. The side characters some of the side characters are more interesting than the main characters in focus.
Hmm.
And that's where I feel like obviously there's a problem because for me, the characters that actually interest me are Eve. Um, there were I forget his name. There was some like demon detective, and I was like, this guy's cool. I
Damien
want,
Darkblood. I think he's cool
yeah.
too. Yeah, he's a
I was like,
cool
this guy
dude.
needs to be involved more. And then I forget what happens. I think he's like kicked out or banished or whatever. I'm like, oh really? You just got rid of the coolest character. Um, Another thing is, hmm, let me go back in my notes because
Well, I'd like to just like I don't know. Personally, I understand if that's a criticism of yours, but I don't fully
yeah,
understand the idea that if the supporting characters are more interesting than the main character, that that's a bad thing necessarily. Like maybe that's just because the supporting characters are very compelling. Like your main character doesn't have to be the best character in every single thing, in my opinion.
sure.
I,
Well, I
I
mean, the TV show is named after him,
Yeah, it is. And like it is
so
mainly his story, but like in a world of superheroes and in a world that's aware of superheroes and there's just there's a and even I mean in any piece of media personally, I think you could certainly have main characters who are kind of they need more development maybe they start as a bit more of a
sure.
blank slate or maybe they're just not as bombastic, not as
Yeah,
dynamic, not like
mm,
I don't know. I guess this is just a subjective thing, so I guess there's not too much argument to have here. But personally,
sure.
I think you can absolutely make things work. I think maybe one of the first things that comes to mind for me would maybe be Star Wars. I think Star Wars might be a good example of that too.
Mm,
Like I think there's most of the characters in Star Wars are more interesting than Luke Skywalker. But that being said, Luke Skywalker still
mm,
works because of his
right.
motive, because the story is still centered around him and his journey. There's still a lot of
Mm,
compelling stuff, but there's a like it's hard to say that he's the most interesting character when you have Han Solo,
right.
Princess
Mm.
Leia, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, etc., etc.
Oh yeah.
So but if that's how you feel, I understand. But I would agree actually. I think
Mm,
like I said, I do think Mark can occasionally be irritating. I wouldn't say so much for his arrogance because I do think that's just a character flaw, and I think it works for the most part. Although sometimes I
sure.
do think
Right.
he's just overly foolish,
Yeah.
which maybe ties into arrogance. But I don't know. I feel like
Mm,
at times like they and this is one of my slight flaws here that we're getting into is just the writing sometimes does feel like it's dictating the character's choices just to get to where it wants to go at times a little bit too
right.
much, which happens
Mm,
with like for example my main example for that would be with Mars, when Mark goes to Mars and
mm,
um he loses the astronauts because he just falls asleep randomly.
right.
And
Yeah.
then he goes to find them. He discovers these weird like face hugger things or whatever that like control the
Mm,
minds of that they can control the minds of like humans and the Martian people.
yeah.
And so he becomes aware of that and he realizes that he's resistant to it. And then he goes to save the astronauts and he doesn't think to, be careful if they have, one of those things attached to them. He doesn't even think for a second about it, even
Oh
though that
yeah.
was like one of the main
Mm-hmm.
threats that the Martian people told him about. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say that that's arrogance. I think that's just straight up stupidity. And I just think they're writing that just to get one of those
Yeah.
creatures onto Earth, which will be
Mm,
interesting when it comes back up. I'm assuming it's going to come back up in season two, if not maybe even a little later. But
right.
um, so just some moments like that. There's a couple others, but that's the main one that comes to mind right in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a few moments
Sure.
like that. But yeah, I think you can have the interesting characters that are
Yeah.
even more compelling than the main. But I understand if that's something that's an issue for you.
Oh yeah, you made a fair argument. But another thing I want to mention is just season one feels messy and overcrowded, I should say. Also, it feels like they tried to throw in so many subplots and characters and things that are happening all at once that at times it's hard to really keep focus on something that's happening and actually remember certain subplots that are happening. Like for instance, the two like giant um Smurf dudes, like the Blue
The
Man group.
twins, the Mahler twins.
Yeah, Well, first off, I could care less about them. I think they're
Really?
annoying and add
Oh, I
nothing
think
to
they're
the story.
interesting.
No, I don't think they're
That might be my
interesting
favorite
at all.
subplot, actually, of them all.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe. I mean,
Um,
how many subplots are there? There's that. There's his
there's that
Mark's
one-eyed
relationship with
guy.
Amber.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Uh, which guy?
well, okay. So there's Blue Man Group. There's Amber. There's the
Eve.
one-eyed Martian dude. There's Eve.
One-eyed Martian dude.
The like the big buff guy. I forget his name, but he he's in space and all that stuff.
Oh, that
Then
guy.
there's
Oh, he came up like a couple times, but
yeah,
yeah.
but they're like, oh, this is a character. We're gonna build off of him. And then there's the detective stuff. There's the demon stuff. There's like the group itself. There's just so many things, and they tend to bounce between the plots in the episodes, and it's just like, oh man, like there's so much going on,
Hmm.
that they don't really have um, focus and enough time to really build up certain characters that should have the focus of building up, you know? Like, for instance, Eve, again, I'm going to mention, like, let's do more with her because she's actually cool and interesting.
I agree.
Um, the, the, the mom, and I forget his name, but she's friends with like this scientist detective guy. Like I think that subplot is really interesting. Yet they're just like, okay, let's have a little 2 minute segment of that where like it's still something happening, but we're not going to elaborate. Um, Again, the detective stuff where they got rid of the demon guy. Um, yeah, and yeah, it just felt messy. I don't know, but
Okay.
again, not saying I didn't not like it, but
I personally found that the balance was pretty nice with the plots. I think they still were able to stick with their main plots well enough. I personally found a lot of the subplots interesting. I do agree Adam Eve.
mhm.
I think I do think the Adam Eve bits did feel a bit too disconnected to a point.
It's like lackluster
I
too.
think very much in this season they wanted to just build up a little bit of the start of her arc with
Hmm.
what happens with Rex and then what she decides to
Yeah.
do in the second
Hmm.
half of the season.
Sure.
And um so they definitely clearly didn't want to dive too deeply into what she's up to, but they want to obviously keep her as one of the main
Hmm.
ensemble characters, which I really like her character. I would agree that at times it was maybe a bit of a drag for her
Right.
scenes, just
Hmm.
because there's not a whole lot going on there. But I just really like her character, so I still found it interesting. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was woven together pretty well.
Sure.
Um, what do you think about the balance between kind of the superhero stuff and like the more human, just like family, high school sort of relationship dynamics going on.
Um, I never really thought of that, but thinking about it now, I don't know. It's just, I mean, the focus isn't really like the high school stuff. It's more of like the superhero stuff. Um, so I mean, like obviously they have little bits of like, oh yeah, these guys are still in high school. Don't forget that. But we're just still not gonna, elaborate on that. Not saying they should or shouldn't, but yeah, I don't know. I have no feelings towards that. But
Okay.
like on one big thing for me with season one, um, and not that like every show doesn't do this, but like this one really felt like it, especially at the end. It felt like it forces you to have to watch season two in
You
a
think
way.
so? I think it works
I
with how it concludes in the end of season one.
I I, I really didn't like the ending at all, and
What about
it
it?
felt so generic. I mean, obviously the action sequence was like awesome. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but like I while watching it, I was with one of our buddies, and I was like, they better not do like the usual route where like, oh, he's my son, I can't kill him. I feel too bad, and then they did it, and I was like, wow, that kind of just ruined the episode. Like everything was
Really?
so good up until that moment. I was like, wow, they really did that generic crap. Um, and then I was like, actually, I wrote this down because I was like, right after I watched it, I was like, okay, so obviously Omni Man is gonna be in his feelings and get all um, soft and everything and become almost like a good guy in the next season. Not saying that he does or doesn't, but like it felt so again, it felt so predictable and forced that like everything played out, and it almost feels like you know how the series is gonna go. And I'm like,
Hmm.
you know,
In my current position, I have no clue where they're gonna go. I think, if I had to guess, I think Omni-Man will eventually turn and protect them because we saw that at the end of season one that
mm,
he wasn't willing to kill Mark. But at the same time, I could still see him going. I'm assuming he's going to get the other Viltrumites, and he's just gonna be like, "Hey, can you guys help me?" Just so that he
sure,
doesn't have to be the one to do it. So I really don't know. That's where I figure it goes. But I personally I don't find
mm,
well, I think I maybe should have mentioned this earlier. I think the predictability of the first season in terms of knowing that Omni-Man is evil from the first episode, I think is really interesting. I think it adds a lot to the tension throughout the season because it could have also worked if you kept it as a twist late in the season, but it was
mm,
a nice surprise early on and it 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 at least made me. It sounds like it didn't make you as invested, but it made me more invested
nah,
to be like, okay, well then, how does Mark and Debbie, his mom, discover
yeah,
this? What's
Deb,
gonna
yeah,
happen when they discover it? And
mm-hmm,
there's definitely a fine line with that, where if you drag it out too much to the
mm-hmm,
point where it's like, okay, well, when are we gonna see them finally figure it out? But I think
yeah,
they laid the groundwork and had the pieces play out very smoothly throughout the season that it worked for me.
sure.
Um, what would you have rather had them do in the finale? If you thought that that was generic to have him not want to murder his only child. Um, yeah. What are you thinking for?
Um, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I would say that Omni Man takes him with him to wherever he's going.
And just takes him really? And
Yeah.
you don't think that that would be an issue for completely wiping out all the plot lines on Earth? Or would you then in season two you'd cut between what Mark's doing and then the Earth stuff? Or like how would you now tie that together if Mark's now off the planet?
Um. Well, I feel like that would give more of a stable focus because it would have instead of like seven different plot lines, you have one plot line of Mark dealing with trying to stay alive and Omni Man wherever they end up, and then you have the plot line of Deb and the group. Well, Deb obviously like probably having some kind of like um, crazy spell because like her husband called her a pet and took her only son like
Yeah.
away to wherever that ends up. And then you have the actually then that would probably give more leverage into giving Eve a better story. Like she can now become a more focused character and maybe even leader of the group. And she's like, okay, I need to step up and all that good stuff. Then we can have a um, dynamic between her, maybe Deb, and figure all that stuff out. And then eventually you have like the um, crossroads of destiny. Like, does Mark uh, join Omni Man, or does he still want to save Earth and protect them and all that stuff?
Hmm.
I feel like that just adds more, um, I guess, story and emotional depth to what it should be. You know?
Okay. I feel like they've already clearly set up that Mark is never going to join his father, though. So I don't know how that would play out exactly. I don't know. I feel like that might create too much of a disconnect because you're not, because now, like, there's no longer a threat on Earth at this point now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and now because we're following Mark on Viltrum or wherever Omni-Man takes him, we are now fully aware throughout the entire season what's going on with our main threat. Whereas what I think worked in season one is we got to see the smaller scale fights, the somewhat bigger scale fights, but across all of that you still have that looming threat of, oh yeah, Mark's dad is the real big bad who's on Earth who
Hmm.
they don't even know about yet. And like that's even despite the victories that you have throughout the season, you still have that looming threat, and I think that's going to now be removed if Mark's now gone, but we're still following him.
Right.
I mean, I guess he will still be threatened. He'll be the most threatened by the Viltrumites and everything, I guess, but I
Right.
imagine that all the Viltrumites would probably just kill him. I would think because
Yeah.
they don't have the sympathy that Omni-Man does for his own son.
Right.
So I don't know. It'd be interesting how you would take that and
Well,
make it work. But
yeah. Well, I mean, off the top of my head, just like the fact that why would Omni Man bring Invincible with him? That would probably like tilt some heads and be like, oh, is there something going on between them? Like, do they know each other? Are they working together?
hmm
So there could be like a dynamic of, I guess, maybe like a revolt or like a um, investigation amongst like the people and or the hero group itself, into finding more um, out about that. And then you have the dynamic of dad being like, "Oh yeah, I know all this, but I still want to try and refrain from having it get out to the people because that would just cause um, utter chaos." So
mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I feel like that could have been cool, but
could be. I like it. I have no clue where season two goes, so I mean, obviously
yeah,
Mark didn't get taken, but
I
um,
kind of forget honestly how it goes. But
yeah.
yeah,
To avoid getting too far off track, we're getting into the theoretical of what
yeah,
could have been. Let's get back to
mhm,
what the show actually is, what season one actually is. Um,
yeah,
and I think it's time to bring up probably my biggest flaw in
yeah,
this first season, and it has to be the relationship between Mark and Amber.
yep,
It's
hmm,
it
awful.
talk about what I mentioned earlier about the writers
Hmm.
wanting to force things the way they want it to go and making the
Yeah,
characters do what they want. That
uh-huh.
the epitome of that is in Mark and Amber's relationship. I
Hmm.
feel that all of the conflicts they go through for the most part feel forced like that. I
Yeah.
I think her character started off as a very, very uninteresting stereotype, and they fleshed her out pretty well. But then she got
Hmm.
into the relationship with Mark, and once that was properly, you know, underway, then I understand her issues with obviously him like not being around all the time and him messing up the
Hmm.
plans.
Yeah.
But then they drop the bomb that is that she knew he was invincible, and it's
Hmm.
like, okay. And so I can
Yep.
understand because from the very beginning she mentions, "Oh, I like a man who's honest." And it's like, "Okay." You could tell from the moment she says that line, it's like, "Oh, that'll probably be important with him revealing his identity." But you can understand
Hmm.
from Mark's point of view, like not wanting to share his identity and put somebody at risk now. Obviously, there's always
Hmm.
that dilemma of the people you love if they know who you are and your enemies know who you are,
Yep.
that's not going to go well. So
Exactly.
I it's a shame because I think they could have had they could be having a great relationship. I almost forgot that they got
Hmm.
back together at the end of the season. Terrible decision, so stupid, so out of
Hmm.
nowhere.
Yeah.
I I would gladly see Mark and Amber together, but it's just not been written right at all. I just think
Yeah.
it's the fighting has been nonsensical and
Yeah.
it's really frustrating. And also I found a lot of their like relationship kind of cringeworthy in my opinion.
Hmm.
They don't
Yeah.
have at least the way it's written. I don't blame the actors. I don't
Hmm.
blame what the characters are made as. I could see them working, but it just feels like the writing for them is just it's trying
Yeah.
to it really wanted to force them down that oh they have early struggles and then they break
Hmm.
up and then they're back together. Like it felt like that had to happen
Yeah.
and it's like it didn't feel
Hmm.
natural whatsoever and so
No.
that's definitely my biggest frustration, and I think that whole
Yeah.
subplot was not well
Hmm.
done.
Yeah. That's one thing I'm glad you notice. that Amber is the real villain of this show.
I wouldn't
Um,
say that, but
nah, I don't like her because of the fact that, I mean, just like everything you said, the fact that she knew that he was invincible and gave him so much crap about not being there for her, not being on time, even though she knew that, like, hey, this guy is supposed to like save people, save the world from like bad stuff happening. Yet she still gets mad at him and gives him crap and refrains from telling him up until the very last. I forget if she even tells him that she knows, but no, she does.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but she refrains from telling him just so that he has more stress on him. And then we come to find out, obviously, that she knew. And
mhm.
it's like, okay, wait, like you knew, you gave him so much crap, and you're okay with that. Like, why? You're a bad person. I don't like that.
Well, again, I think it could have worked a little bit. I still think it's kind of weird to take that route of her knowing he's invincible and still having an issue. But like, it could have worked better again if you focused on the honesty sort of thing, and
Nah,
but just the I don't know. It's hard to reiterate word for word how all their exchanges went, but just
sure.
their dialogue exchanges just it was frustrating to watch, not in a good
Hmm.
way. And yeah,
Yeah.
it could
No,
have
she.
worked, but it very much felt like the writers just didn't want them to be together. But then they throw them back to,
Mhm.
and then they throw them back together. Like
Yeah.
that was just that might be the nail in the coffin. We'll see what they do in
Yeah.
season two.
Hmm.
I hope they write them better because I again I like the
Hmm.
characters. I just don't like the writing around them.
Yeah.
And um I hope they write it better because yeah, the season one it was a pain.
No, no, yeah.
It was bad.
She's very unreasonable and unbearable because um because again, like the fact that like sure he could tell her, but like why would he?
Yeah.
Because again, that would just put her of most part in more danger. And why
Yeah.
would you? I can understand like why she wanted, but like actually tell him that, instead of keeping it to yourself and having him stress out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll come to Amber's defense a little bit here. I'll
yeah,
come to
I
this
can't.
I'll come to this
Yep.
fictional character's defense a little bit here. There were
Mhm.
times when Mark was said some really stupid things.
Yeah,
And
sure,
I
but
also
like,
do think that his time management was an absolute mess through most of season one, which was his part of his arc, and I think worked. And so that's
mhm,
why I think that part of the relationship sort of worked. Um, but that being said, yeah, uh, just a lot of weird choices. But yeah,
mhm.
Mark definitely was not ready for this relationship, I don't think, in the beginning
No,
because of the fact that he just got his powers. And so I
mhm,
think that he was kind of foolish for, you know, kind of putting himself in that position a little bit. I mean, it's understandable, of course.
sure,
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not entirely Amber's fault, but um, yeah, I just I don't
yeah,
like it. Don't like it. Not
fair
good.
enough. Yeah.
Very bad. Um, so
How
I
about characters? Who's like some of your favorite characters? Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
nope. We could jump into that. That's good. My favorite characters, I'll just say in no particular order. And this might be a
Sure.
weird group. I don't know. I don't know how other people
Hmm.
feel about this, but I'm gonna go Cecil. I
Cecil is the director
Yeah,
of.
played by Walton
Okay.
Goggins. Just really
Yeah.
good voice performance. I
Hmm.
just find that sort of character interesting that and it comes up
Hmm.
fairly all like the type of character where it's like good intentions, very dark and kind of in the gray or sometimes just straight up evil means,
Hmm.
but still well intentioned to a point.
Right.
But the big thing that really makes the character interesting and what I like about him is he's the first one to admit to you that he's not a good guy. Like he
Hmm.
knows that he's not a moral a good moral compass. Like he's aware
That's
of
fair.
that. He's not going to
Yeah.
act like that he's the guy who's going to, you know, make all the right decisions and that he's the
Hmm.
one who'll save the day every time. It's like he knows he does sketchy stuff. He but he feels that's what he has to do. And so
Right.
I really like that about his character. Um, two, I'm gonna say Omni-Man because
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
it's Omni-Man. I mean, J.K. Simmons.
Sure.
I've said this so much recently, but it's just how it's happening. One of my favorite actors.
Mm.
I've said that in like the last three one takes, I think. But he he
Right.
he also is. He's just so incredible. Um, and obviously the dynamic between him and Mark, between him and Debbie. I mean, the show is very much centered, obviously, around Mark and Omni Man,
Hmm.
and the I mean, I think his powers and abilities are cool. His the ability to balance the father son bond with the evil and dark
Mm.
kind of undertones. I do think that some of his dialogue is maybe a little bit heavy-handed, where it's like, okay, but
Yeah.
but that's what makes it interesting though, is because it's not like they're trying to treat it like a twist. It's like you already know that he's the bad guy. So it's like now you're
Hmm.
listening into the things he says and you're like, "Oh, I can
Right.
see like that kind of deeper meaning behind it." So I think that's really cool. And then number
Hmm.
3, I'm going to say Debbie. I think I
Yeah.
think Debbie
Hmm.
Grayson she's like borderline my favorite character in the show. Sandra
Yeah.
Oh is so fantastic as
Hmm.
voicing her. Um her being the emotional core, she
Hmm.
is so good at that. Um,
Hmm.
both the voice performance as well as just who the character is. And I like how she's very involved. She's not
Hmm.
just kind of an innocent bystander, although we at the end of the day
Oh
we
yeah.
know she is to an extent, but
Hmm.
she has her ways to kind of to still be a very strong parental figure to Mark, and they have
Yep.
some really great emotional moments to be
Hmm.
a um to be a good wife, to be a caring wife, but to also be a resilient one in the face of
Right.
what she's dealing with, which is obviously
Hmm.
a whole lot. And
Right.
I like the parts where she's kind of trying to figure things out for herself,
Hmm.
and I really like what her character is bringing to the show, and I think the show really needs it, and
Yeah.
it really makes a difference through just about every kind of I mean most of the emotional beats ride on, who her character is, whether she's in the
Hmm.
scene or not, obviously knowing um who Omni-Man is and how that family dynamic is. It's always very impactful to see, every time Mark gets beat up, every time
Hmm.
Omni-Man does something evil, every time there's a hint of Omni-Man being of them finding out that Omni-Man's evil and what's going to happen
Right.
when Omni-Man decides, oh, they found me out. It's time to, just
Hmm.
fully commit to it. And it's it's really fantastic. So, yeah, she might be my number one, man. She is
Hmm.
so good. She's so good. How
Yeah.
about you? What do you got?
No, yeah. I am gonna have to agree with you. The fact that Deb's a goat. I really like her character. I
Yeah.
like how she like you said, adds emotional depth. She takes initiative about finding stuff out on her own. Resilience, all that good stuff. Voice acting is really good. Um, yeah, just really cool character. Definitely, as you said, needed in the show. Adds a lot to it. Um, and yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that's probably my number one. And then these last two are in no particular order. Um, Eve, I really like Eve. I think she's a interesting character and a cool character of which they haven't built up, as I keep saying,
I think
and
that's
I
why
think they should.
yeah, that's why she's not I can see the
Yeah,
potential with her character, but I just haven't seen
that's what
enough
I'm
and there hasn't
saying.
been enough
Yeah,
development for me to really see it yet, but I could
yeah.
see her powers are really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm going off of like the potential. I see like she could be a really cool main established character, yet they're not doing anything with her, which is really making me mad. But um yeah, really like her character. Very cool. And my last one is probably um is a very limited character, but the um, scenes and moments that he's in, he takes advantage of it. I'm pretty sure his name is Donald. He's the guy with the
Oh,
glasses.
Yeah, like he's kind
Yeah.
of the assistant to Cecil, right? Or
Hmm.
something like that. I don't know what
Yeah.
his title is, obviously, but really,
Mm.
didn't
Really
he
cool
died,
guy.
right? Didn't he die?
Yes, but he went out in the most like awesome way. He was like, "Yeah, I got this. Let me
Yeah, that was
just
pretty cool. Yeah.
I was like, this guy's cool, and he gets stuff done. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't, no matter what the circumstance is, like he gets it done and will do it, which I respect and I
Yeah.
like him.
Yeah, that's really
Um,
cool. And see, I think that speaks a lot to the show that a character like in terms of I don't know how you want to judge a screen time in terms of importance to the story. Like he's is he even in the top 10? Probably not. He
as far as like screen time, or
in terms of like his importance to season 1, like out of like major characters, he's like I don't know, whatever. He's not in the top 5 of most important characters in the
no,
show.
not
I
top
don't I
five.
don't think he's
No,
even top
yeah,
10. But the point is
Hmm.
he's still an interesting character. They still make him enough
Yeah,
of a character where he's not just a stereotype, he's not just a
hmm,
one-note character, he's not just a henchman
yeah,
or just the assistant. It's like he has those moments where it's like,
and he
oh,
adds stuff when he's
he'll
on
go stand
screen.
up to
Yeah,
Omni-Man when he knows he's gonna
hmm,
die. He'll
yeah,
he'll put himself in danger for the sake of Cecil and the government's cause in order to
mm,
protect people. And so
right,
yeah, I think that's really cool that he's one of your favorites. I
mm.
didn't expect that.
No, yeah, and again, side character that I like more than the main characters.
Mm.
You know,
I
I
think
just
Mark
think
just needs more time. Mark needs more time. We'll see in season 2 what
well,
happens.
I keep having to remind myself, like, okay, this guy is technically a high school kid, so he should have some like uh, growth to him.
Mm.
Hopefully, if they do, if they don't and keep him like the exact same kind of personality, that would really be bad. But yeah,
Yeah. I think he deserves a shout out too because I feel like I've shouted out most of the main actors in this. Not that he'll ever hear me, but Stephen Yoon as Mark
yeah,
Grayson, incredible.
hmm,
Just awesome, man. Like I it's sometimes hard to realize that these people are standing like they're just standing in front of a mic in a random studio and they
hmm,
have to elicit all of these emotions and
right,
like even just like the like experiencing the pain, the stress,
hmm,
like all this stuff like that is really difficult to do and I think he nails
yeah,
every single beat like to
hmm,
perfection. So again, I will glaze the heck out of this cast because they
yeah,
are just everybody is so good. So yeah,
hmm,
I had to give a shout out there because he's also awesome.
yeah.
So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, fair point.
Um, with that said, I don't think I have any more to mention. Oh, actually, I do. One thing. What do you think about like the
Yeah.
character design and like the costumes? I think it's really cool and like the animation style. I really like
I
it.
think it's interesting. I like it. And actually, to go off of what you just said, characters, for another thing, real
Yeah.
quick, I think that a lot of the um, heroes and characters aren't really like original. It feels like they just kind of knock off already established heroes, and I'm like, okay, I mean, like, sure, but like this is like its own show. Like, make your own like unique characters in a way. It's like in the first episode, you have Batman, you have first basically a Superman character. You have Squirtle from Pokemon. You have like King Neptune, all that good stuff, and I forget what the woman, like Wonder Woman and all that good
Hmm.
stuff. Um, yeah, I just wanted more original characters. Like you have replicate. Uh, they do that all the time. Somebody that can
Duplicate.
replicate, duplicate, same thing.
Yeah,
But
same thing.
you have um, like a Hulk character. You have the woman that can shrink like Ant Man. It's like, okay, seen it. Let's do something new. You know, not that it's like a major problem, but like it's just like okay, like fine. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I actually think it almost works better that they're so similar. I mean, the first thing I would say is how many different ideas can you really think of that are original for superheroes with how
No,
many
yeah,
characters
that's
have been
fair.
created with Marvel and DC and all that. That being said, I don't
Yeah.
know much about superheroes, so I still think there's plenty here that seem pretty original to me.
Mhm.
Um, but What I think makes it honestly a bit more interesting is the fact that I don't think the show shies away from the fact that these characters are very clearly inspired by, if not
Oh yeah, they
ripping
don't.
off.
Yeah,
But I think that's intentional because
yeah, I
it
respect that
it
though.
it
Yeah.
it, it at times subverts your expectations, and because this show is so unlike what Marvel and DC, well, like what the mainstream, like I'd say like the movies I'll speak for. I can't speak for
Mm,
comics. I don't know comics, but what
right.
the Marvel and DC movies are like at least. And yes, in the first episode, we see all these characters. Oh, look, it's the Justice League, but ripped
Yeah.
off. But then
Hmm.
what do they do with that group? They die. So
Yeah.
you just watched your Justice League,
Hmm.
which DC would never like fully kill off like that in the first episode of their show, and that happens. You have your very clear Superman character, and it turns
Sure.
out he's the bad guy. So I think that they wanted
Yeah.
to intentionally play off your expectations by like with the characters being so similar where now
Yeah.
you see, okay, this is the all powerful guy, he's going to be, the guy who stands for justice and always being
Hmm.
good, and then you watch him then murder all of his peers at the end of the very first episode.
Right.
So I think that works for me. And again, also the fact that I just don't think that you can really get that crazy original with the superhero ideas. At the end of the day, there's
Hmm.
going to be a bunch that can fly around. There's going to be there's only so many weapons that you can invent in your brain. A lot of them do the same thing. It's either bashing or slicing or stabbing or shooting
Yeah.
of some kind.
Yeah.
Um, so I understand it because yes, you could very clearly point to characters and be like, "Oh yeah, there's the Batman of this. Oh, there's the Hulk of
Hmm.
this. There is the Ant-Man of this. Ant-Man might be the worst one. It's it's
Yeah.
literally just Ant-Woman, but that's because her
Hmm.
character's not that fleshed out. Maybe they do more with her, but maybe they don't. I don't know. But
Hmm.
yeah, there's a few, some more than others. I think Adam Eve is very unique. Although I'm not
For the
sure.
most part, yeah. Hmm.
I I could be totally off with that, but the idea of just completely manipulating atoms is
Hmm.
awesome.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah. But no, I get your point. But again, just for me, it's really predictable. I was like, okay, they're gonna die, and then they did, and I was like,
I
that's the bad guy. I was like, I knew it. Yeah,
yeah, I'm surprised you find that so predictable that they were gonna
I knew immediately. I was like,
immediately
okay,
win. Like
like the first episode
yeah, but
before it ended, of course.
yeah,
Um,
but like
but
like so before they even get called to the headquarters, you're like, oh, they're dead.
yeah, yeah,
Really? Wow.
yeah.
I
I
don't know
was like,
how you
okay,
saw that
I
coming.
know what's gonna happen. Yeah, I was like, it's so
Ah,
obvious. Yeah.
see, maybe I've noticed this too. I feel like when I'm watching things, I'm like on the opposite end where I hardly ever predict stuff. Like when
Well,
I'm
I
watching
didn't.
things. So
Sure.
maybe I'm just like clueless. That could definitely be the case because I've had some like
No.
really obvious like I've had things I can't give an example, but like in movies or shows where people are like,
Hmm.
"Oh yeah, of course they did this." And I'm like, "Oh, you weren't surprised by that?" I was caught off guard. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
For some reason when I'm watching stuff, I just don't maybe I'm not thinking hard enough or maybe I'm just
Yeah.
dumb, but I can't predict it like that.
No, no, no. Not that I went in with the mindset of like, oh, let me really analytically think about this, like every little thing that's gonna play out. It
Hmm.
for me, it was just kind of like in my face. I was like,
Okay.
okay. I
Hmm.
was like, oh, they're gonna do this, and then they did, and I was like, okay, that was kind of anticlimactic, but I could just
Anticlimactic. Ooh.
well because of the fact that I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, okay, get to it, and
I
then
mean, you didn't
they
know the
did.
way it was going to happen exactly, though. So, or did that not make
I
a
knew
difference?
not really, not
Okay.
really. Well, I
And I
mean,
mean, it's also
like,
episode one, so it's like
yeah.
I, yeah, maybe episode one is predictable, but now it changes the dynamic of the story. I'm not
Oh,
gonna,
sure.
I'm not gonna try to speak for you because I know
Well,
it's your
yeah.
opinion, but
Well, I mean, like, I knew almost instantly that like these characters were gonna die. Of course, I didn't know how or when it was gonna happen, but as soon as the call went out, I was like, okay, that's it. Like, that's where it's gonna happen, and
okay,
it played out. It was really cool. But again, I was like, okay, I know it's gonna happen, but it was still cool.
hmm, okay, yeah, all right. So That's all I have. Do you have anything else to discuss?
Um, not really. I mean, if I were to say anything, I think that I would recommend people watch this because, nah,
You
I
you
I
recommend
d-
you recommend that people watch the predictable show that
yeah, I do. Yeah. Where's the thing?
that has too many plot lines that aren't
Yeah,
developed enough.
I do. Well, I can understand why
Yeah, yeah.
people like the
I
show.
gotcha.
I really can. But for me, it's just like it's just fine. Like it's nothing special on based off what I mean, basically the world says. But you know, that's just usually how things happen with me. But yeah, I'd recommend this to a majority of everybody. So yeah,
Okay. I will second that. If you somehow haven't seen it, which I'm sure there's plenty of people who haven't, but
yeah.
very popular. If you haven't checked it out, maybe give it a look. It's not, again, I would reiterate, it's not exactly like a lot of other superheroes. It still very much is. I mean,
Hmm.
there is a lot of action. There is a lot of things moving around the place very quickly,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Uh,
there's definitely a lot to track. But it's a little different. Maybe if the MCU is not so much your thing, even if it is your thing, though. I mean, I think this is just such a good show. I think it appeals to a lot of different people. So just be ready
mhm.
for it. Also, you just got spoiled for like the entirety of season one. So what are you doing here?
Yeah.
But but
Uh,
yeah, go watch it again then
yeah.
if that's what you want to do. But yeah, I think that'll be all for today, right?
Hmm.
All
All I
right.
got.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. So that is our review for Invincible season one. Can't wait to see what season two has in store for me,
Mm,
and we'll see how things change moving forward. But so far, I'm all in on Invincible right now. I'm all in.
fair enough.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one.